Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bensalem Township Council meeting. Today's date is December 14th, 2020. I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting. This is the meeting just before Christmas Eve. So hopefully to all the good boys and girls out there, you will have an opportunity to see Santa. And we did see him just a few days ago on Saturday evening as he was here. It was a wonderful affair. Santa waved hello, and Mrs. Claus said hello to all the children that came by. We had all our council members here, and it was really quite an affair. The Parks and Recreation Department did an outstanding job, I must say, and under the circumstances, it was as good and as nice as it possibly could have been. So thank you very much. As you know, tonight's meeting, any public comments or questions can be, they could have been mailed into 400 Byberry Road, and they can be emailed into publiccomments@bensalempa.gov. That's publiccomments @bensalempa.gov. I'd like to introduce you to the members who are attending this evening. We have, and I'm going to go with the blocks as we see them. We have Mr. Bill Samori, Administrative Assistant. Myself, I'm Ed Kisselback, President and Council. On the top next to me, we have the Honorable Mayor Joseph D. Girolamo. We have Inspector Quentin Neron. Where'd you go? Oh, next to me. We have Russell.
Enter.
Benner.
I know. Russell Benner. I know that. Ed Tokmajian, Council Member. Joe Knowles, drinking his water, getting set to verbalize his expressions this evening. Jesse Sloan, also a council member. We have Debbie McBreen, our township clerk, and Joe Pazzo on the bottom of the screen. Okay, we'd like to begin. If you'd be kind enough to please rise for a moment, silent meditation and prayer, and we'll begin the meeting following that. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 2 is public comments, and that's on agenda items, but we'll get to that at the end of the meeting. We have 2 people online at this point. Agenda item number 3 will be the approval of the council minutes. That's for November 9th, 2020. Are there any changes, deletions? Gentlemen, if not, I'll entertain a motion to accept as presented.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented for November 9th, 2020.
Motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Second on a motion. Motion by Joe Knoll, seconded by Ed Tokmajian. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 And against, abstentions, that is unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 4, Mr. Pizzo.
Yes, thank you. Item 4 is the minor subdivision for Anthony Olschlegel. Since the time that the item was last before you, you'll recall that it had been tabled forward to a date certain of this evening. In the intervening period of time, it's been determined that the applicant is going to need to go to the zoning hearing board for additional relief, and it's anticipated that that will happen in January. So this evening, the item can be tabled forward to a date certain of your second meeting in January, which would be January 25. Township did receive one comment from resident Mary Ann Ryan on the Chamonix Boulevard regarding the application. There are a number of items that included in Ms. Ryan's email, or I'm sorry, Mr. Ryan's email. It's from John Ryan. It just came on Mary Ann Ryan's email address. So there are a number of items that Mr. Ryan has asked for you to consider at that time when you do consider it. So what I'll do is have this email forwarded to the Township Council Clerk, and she can include it in your packets for the January 25th meeting when this matter will be heard, and you'll have them at that time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pizzo. All right, so agenda item number 4 will be moved to January 25th. Can I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make a motion. All right, got it.
All right,
I'll second.
we have a motion by whom?
I made the motion, Mr. Kisselbeck.
All right, Turkmegian's making a motion.
I second the motion.
Second motion by Mr. Knowles. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye.
Vote aye.
And against? Any abstentions? They're unanimous, I believe. And then we're going to go to consideration of the Community Development COVID CV3 CARES Act funds. Mr. Samori, would you like to
Yes,
take this one?
sure. You may recall back in, I guess, the earlier part of the year, the township received a smaller grant for COVID funds. It was in the amount of about $203,000. The township is now, along with the county and other metropolitan areas, is receiving grant funds under the COVID Relief Act. They're called CV3 allocations. The township's allocation is $545,203. The program put together for the use of this funds. I'll go over the amounts and the projects at this point. Family Services, which is the homeless shelter operations, $151,870. The Bucks County Opportunity Council for the prevention and rental assistance funding to assist residents from eviction. That's in the amount of $150,000. There's Consumer Credit Counseling Program. It's mortgage foreclosure prevention. And again, these funds would be used to assist families with mortgages that are likely to default or face foreclosure. The amount there is $150,000. The amounts that we allocated for each of those projects was based on input from those particular organizations. That left a little bit of money left. We're allocating 5% of the 500 and some thousand for administrative costs. We are permitted to take up to 20%, but again, we want to put as much as we can into the projects which would best serve the residents of the township. That leaves an unallocated amount of $66,073. Excuse me. That funding we could put at a later date into one of the other projects that we're funding, should they have a need for more. Or if we found another worthwhile use for the funds, we could certainly allocate it to that at a later date. So that is the uses of the funds, and I'll certainly entertain any questions at this point.
So the $66,000 will be determined by the administration based on need, is that correct? But it would all be COVID related,
Correct.
okay? Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Mr. Samori?
I do. With respect to the Bucks County Opportunity Council funds and the Consumer Credit Counseling funds,
Yes.
how can our residents reach out for information on how to get relief this way?
They have not, in the cases of the rental assistance and the consumer credit. Now, again, let me just back up a little bit. We're working with, again, as I've indicated in the information I've sent you, we're working with the County of Bucks and Bristol Township to coordinate the use of all these funds. The funding that's listed here will be used strictly for Bensalem residents. Those organizations are currently working on program guidelines, which are set forth by the COVID HUD guidelines. So I could generally give you, again, some idea. The assistance provided under the consumer credit counseling, again, is just for mortgagee people that have homes and mortgages, and it's to provide them with counseling services, and if necessary, if they need financial assistance, that money can be used for that also. So there's an organization called the Consumer Credit Counseling Group. They're in Bucks County, and that's where residents could contact.
Okay, so they'll have to directly contact the Bucks County Opportunity Council and the Consumer Credit Counseling to get access to those funds if they qualify for them.
That's correct.
Okay.
They could contact Bensalem, however, and then you would intercede and give them the information. So they could actually just contact the administration, Bensalem Township, and then you would move them along. Is that correct?
Yes, if they call us, we would refer them up to those agencies.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions? Okay, gentlemen, not hearing any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Community Development COVID CV3 CARES Act Fund as presented.
I'll second it.
We have a motion on the floor. Jesse Sloan, second by Atuk Majin. Any additional discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor, please signify with a yes. Aye. Yes.
Aye.
All those in favor? All those are not? That is unanimous. Moving on to agenda item number 6. This is a consideration of an ordinance. This is authorizing the execution of a cable franchise agreement between the township and Verizon of Pennsylvania LLC. Mr. Pizer, you want to take this one for us?
I will, although I welcome the mayor or Bill to jump in at any point in regard to the summary. You have before you the renewal of the township's current franchise agreement with Verizon for their FiOS service. Verizon, for those of you who were around, you may recall that Verizon started the FiOS cable service here in the township back in 2005, 2006. Up until then, the township had a single cable provider. That initial franchise agreement recently expired. Negotiations on the new franchise agreement actually began back in 2017. Bensalem was part of a consortium made up of 33 municipalities throughout Bucks County, which is the lion's share, if not all of them, in the negotiation of new franchise agreement with Verizon. The current agreement that's you're asked to be considered is a 5-year agreement, which is a little shorter than what historically has been done with cable providers. 10-year would be more the norm. But in all candor, Verizon is pushing back not only in Bucks County, but throughout Pennsylvania and throughout the country, pushing back against agreements of a longer duration because of the significant changes that are happening in the marketplace, particularly as they apply to direct television services like Netflix and Hulu, which aren't provided over the cable system. The form of agreement that's before your consideration this evening, and all of you, I hope, received a copy of it in your packet, along with a copy of the summary that was provided by Dan Cohen. Dan Cohen of the Cohen Law Group is the attorney who negotiated the agreement on behalf of the consortium. Mr. Cohen is probably the most preeminent attorney in Pennsylvania when it comes to matters involving cable and cable franchises. The township has routinely used him in the past for other items involving our various cable franchises. And again, Mr. Cohen's group were the ones who were actually in the trenches, as it were, negotiating this agreement with Verizon. Insofar as fees are concerned, the franchise fees remain the same, so the township has had no loss in that regard. Insofar as the free services that cable providers had previously been required to provide to townships, schools, and other governmental entities, recent change in the law no longer requires that they do that, and so that change in the law, I might add, is also being challenged in the courts. But in the meantime, the township would begin to start to pay fees for cable services that, minimal as they are, that go into the township building. Insofar as the service that they're required to provide in terms of the educational and governmental channels, that requirement continues to remain in place. So everyone who's watching this meeting tonight on the cable channel over Verizon, I believe channel 34, will continue to be able to do that for the next 5 years. The contract does allow for Verizon to terminate the contract early under a variety of conditions, which at the end of the day were deemed acceptable to the majority of the municipalities involved. It requires them to be able to show a significant drop in the number of customers they have in the township before they would be able to move forward with terminating the agreement. And under the circumstances, that was probably the best arrangement that Mr. Cohen would be able to negotiate on behalf of the consortium. So with all of that as background, again, hopefully you all had an opportunity to read the rather detailed summary that Mr. Cohen provided, but the ordinance that's before you this evening that would renew the franchise for an additional 5 years is in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Pisa, as always, presented extremely well. Thank you for the detail. And Mr. Mayor, would you like to comment on that?
Only that you can see that the contracts are shorter. They wouldn't, under any condition, that was one of the conditions of the contract, was a 5-year contract because of technology, the way it's changing, and that's got to tell you that things are changing in the future on how municipalities will collect anything. As I was explaining a little earlier, no matter how, they still use our right-of-ways, no matter how they use cable or any other wireless thing. So hopefully we can get some of those laws changed federally to help us out in the future. But for the near future, it looks like that 5 years, I don't think it'll take that long before they don't want to have to do this anymore just because of technology. And Comcast, I'm sure, will be no different.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
I do. Do we have a similar agreement, Mr. Pisa, with Comcast?
The agreement that's in place with Comcast would be similar to the agreement that we're just coming out of with Verizon. So to the extent that both trains have been moving on parallel tracks up to this point, they've had pretty similar, if not identical, conditions. The Comcast, the current Comcast contract, say that 10 times fast, is not up for renewal yet. Whether we expect the same kind of a pushback from Comcast remains to be seen. I think they may be a little bit more diversified in terms of their electronic media and how they're providing their various services. But Verizon is clearly I'm not sure whether it's legislation or court decisions, or perhaps a combination of both, which have said that the internet services that are being provided by Comcast and by Verizon are not part of the cable franchise. And so that was sort of the start to Comcast and Verizon themselves moving away from the content that they're providing over cable. And again, you've seen it in the last several years. Many video services are now, going over streaming and the like. And so it's all slowly but surely starting to bypass the traditional cable that comes into our homes.
Right. Okay. So I'm assuming that together between Verizon and Comcast, those franchise fees make up the $1.2 million of revenue that's listed in our budget. Is that correct? That's listed as cable TV fees?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. Do we know how that revenue stream is projected, or I know we can't read the tea leaves and there's no crystal ball, but is there any kind of estimation for how we may be impacted on that revenue stream over the course of the next 5 years? And I ask that because, one of the things that struck me in this summary was the change in the industry. The increase of 24% more subscribers to streaming services in the past 4 years, expected to increase by another 52% in 2025. In parallel with the cable TV subscribers have decreased by 12% in the last 8 years. And I would imagine that's going to increase as well, the number of people who are, removing that cable TV subscription from their bills. So
I think you're right about
I would
everything.
expect that revenue stream is going to start to decrease.
I think everything you just said, Jesse, is something we have to look at for the future.
Yeah.
Each thing you noted is something.
That's why they only did a 5-year contract.
Sure. And I understand why the push for 5 years. I'm concerned about our revenues.
I know, but we're in the same boat with 33 other municipalities here, Jess.
Sure we are.
Everybody's concerned.
To your point, Mr. Sloan, yes, the township, as we, now that we're, particularly as we're signing off on this, can, as we budget out 5 years, can continue to monitor how the franchise fees move from year to year and take into account. I don't think, as hard as Verizon pushed, I don't think anyone expects Verizon to terminate this contract early. So it's
Sure.
not unreasonable to assume that the franchise fees in whatever amount we should be seeing for the next 5 years. But beyond that, just as you said, the industry, the loss over the last 10 years has been 12%. Significant, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. But there's still a whole lot of households that are hooked up to cable.
Yeah, you hear a lot of people that are so-called cutting the cord now and going with full streaming services. So that's just something that I think we need to be aware of and keep an eye on as we go through our financial future.
I think we are aware of it. I think that's the reason for the contract. And as you had just said a moment ago, the percentages are going to be reflective of the amount of money that they're going to be willing to negotiate with us in the future.
Right. The other thing that I think is interesting, that it almost parallels it, and I don't mean to be a broken record, but I just think it's worth revisiting the possibility of live streaming our own council meetings for the public. If there's evidence now, and we have it in front of us, that the number of cable TV subscribers is decreasing, I think we need to make these meetings more and more accessible to the public. I think, and I'm not entirely certain, but I believe our budget meeting last week was actually live streamed on the Township YouTube channel. And I'm hoping that we can continue to do that effort. And these meetings should be accessible in real time for the public through the internet.
We continue to work towards those objectives.
Thank you very much. That's all I had.
Mr. Kisbeck, I just had one additional question. Do we have any idea of the, Mr. Pazzo, you had noted the court case that's ongoing. If it was to come back that states that the township would be liable in some of those charges going forward, do we have any idea as far as what those fees would look like, or is there any discussion with the Verizon in terms of what those fees would look like? And should we be netting down our revenue by those fees at some point, looking at the budget?
They would be they could be treated as an offset against the franchise fee, or we could just be billed like any other customer. And then, if the bill for the township building is, pick a number out of the air, X number of $100 a month, we make a decision as to whether we require those services or not. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, well, but keep in mind is that the list was inclusive of the school district too as well. Will that be passed off onto them?
That will certainly be the case.
Yeah. Okay. Just a point of reference for those that are watching. I think it's actually pretty interesting with this agreement that we have with both Verizon and Comcast in terms of you're looking at page number 4, that it actually outlines a number of customer service standards that benefits and looks out for Bensalem residents, which includes telephone answering time limits for installation, appointment windows, credits for service interruptions, and so forth. So it's nice to have something to go back on in case a resident should have any particular issues with either of these companies. And with that said, it'd be nice to maybe come up with something with our trash hauling companies here in the township, based off of some of the complaints that we regularly hear on some of those companies that are coming through this township. But that's another meeting.
I think it is. Let's maintain what we're trying to do today. And if you want to bring that up in the future, no problem at all. All right, gentlemen, any questions relative to the cable franchise agreement? Any other additional questions? Not hearing any. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Excuse me, I'll put the motion up that we accept the ordinance as drafted for Bensalem authorizing execution of the cable franchise agreement between the township and Verizon Pennsylvania LLC.
I'll
All right,
second.
motion on the floor.
I'll second, Mr. Kisselbeck.
We have a second on the motion. Motion is by Mr. Tokmese, seconded by Jesse Sloan. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye.
Vote aye.
And against, abstentions, unanimous. All right, gentlemen, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 7. This is a consideration of signing agreement for the Amazon.com Services LLC, 3750 State Road, warehouse and storage. This is zoned as a general industrial. And the tax map parcel is 279-9-5. This is relative to the stormwater, best management practices, operations, and maintenance agreement, as well as the land development improvement agreements. Mr. Pizzo, I'm going to ask you to take this one.
Certainly. As council is asked to do from time to time, we're asking you this evening to approve the execution of the land development improvements agreement and the stormwater management agreements for the Amazon facility at 3750 State Road, as outlined by Mr. Kisselback. Council will recall that you approved an amendment to that land development agreement earlier this year. The developer at this point is now ready to proceed with the signing of the agreements. The required monies that are called for under the agreements have all been posted with the township, including the $2.5 million for additional off-site intersectional and traffic improvements that were required by you at the time of the approval. And the agreements, again, are in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Okay, in addition to that, there's also over $1 million to secure on-site improvements, as well as $125,000 for administrative, legal, engineering, escrow fees. This is all monies that are coming to the township for the continuation of this particular project. All right, is that it, Joseph?
That's it.
All right, Mr. Mayor, you'd like to add anything to this one?
No, not really. There's a lot of work going on down there. I can't believe it. All the work that was done there. The parking lots are all dug up again. They're doing a lot of work down there to retrofit again. So Russ, do you know exactly, or Quentin, fill me in. I'm down there. I asked questions about the one side of the building. They're down at least 8 or 9 feet. They dug next to it. I don't know what's going on there. All the driveways are dug up. Have you guys been down there?
I have not been down there myself. My other inspector's been down there periodically doing the inspections. So I was not filled in on what the status is down there. I know they're doing a lot of work this week, trying to pour new curbing and stuff like that, from what I understand.
It's unbelievable. You have to see how much was done there that would look so nice now. That's all being redone. I mean, the parking lot in the back is half of it's already cut up and dug up. So I don't know what's going on exactly. I asked Ken, he's on vacation. I called him this morning early. I haven't got back to him yet, or him back to me. But I'm just surprised at how much is going on there. 2 of the homes are boarded up on State Road. Obviously, for sure, too. I understand, Bill Samori, they're supposed to have all 5 under agreement. Is that?
Yes, that's correct. They have, the last email I had from the attorney is that they have all 5 under agreement at this point.
So, good news and bad news. Whoever wanted to stay there, it's bad news. The good news is that it's going to, make it a lot easier to get around on that intersection. But a lot going on down there, an awful lot. So I know I've asked Ken too. I'd like to go down there and just tour that building. It must be something inside. The way they're retrofitting that to make all these packages be delivered, and however they do that electronically. And I'm dying to see how they do it inside.
I don't think I've ever seen a company move more expediently and cooperatively with the township than Amazon, as they have
Or
been
with more money.
and continue to do. They have a lot of money, you say, Joe?
Yeah.
They do.
They,
Okay.
obviously, they do what they say they're going to do and more. So
Yeah, they want the driveway a certain way. They're going to make it that way. You know what I mean? They're not going to mess around with some.
Well, you got to go down there and see it. It's all dug up. I mean,
All right, gentlemen, you have any questions on this?
Yeah, I have one question. Mayor, thanks for the input. And actually, if you do happen to schedule an appointment, I certainly would be interested. I'm really curious to see the inside.
Yeah, I am too. I really am.
So if you wouldn't mind extending the invite to all our council, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just a question in terms of some of the work that's being done. I know we were starting to get complaints about some of the trucks running on Haunted Lane there.
Yep. We're addressing that.
Okay.
Today.
All right. Great.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely.
All
I think what they were doing is they're using that back driveway because they have everything dug up every other place, and dump trucks are going in that way.
Yep.
I went down there myself today. That's why I know, what's going on there.
Okay.
So we're addressing that to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think that was only supposed to be emergency use on that side, right?
That's correct. And the signs are there to say that.
Okay. All right. So you're addressing it. Okay, great. That's all I had. Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Okay, not hearing you, I'll accept a motion to be put on to consideration to sign an agreement for the Amazon.com services.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we sign the agreements as presented for Amazon.com services, 3750 State Road, tax parcel 27995 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second, Mr. Gisberg.
We have a second on the motion. That would be Mr. Tokamajian. Any additional discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Vote with
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, moving right along in record time. Mr. Pizzo, I'm going to ask you to read. We have public comments. I think you said we had 2. One of you going to forward to us before it's in our January meeting. Is that correct? And the second one would be germane to reading tonight. Is that correct?
Correct. So
Okay.
another email has come in, I believe, however, it's also applicable to the same project. So this is an email from Nathaniel and Kelly Wolak on Neshaminy Boulevard, and they have comments on the same project that Mr. Ryan did. So since council is not going to hear that this evening, I will again forward this email to the Township Clerk of Council, ask her to distribute it to all of you for when that matter is actually on an agenda for action, which at this point is planned to be January 25th, your meeting of January 25th. The other email that we received in public comment is from Joseph Connolly. Question 1, when is the dirt pile going to be removed? He saw Mr. Neron out last week with a contractor, most likely to remove the pile of dirt. Mr. Connolly, received fines for erosion, was found guilty by Bensalem Township and guilty in Doylestown. Also, 100% of his neighbor's water runoff from the parking areas, building gutters, and the dirt pile run directly through his property, causing washout issues. Then he receives the fine for erosion. Why is this happening? Why is he, my neighbor, not receiving any fines, and why is this not getting resolved? Question 2, the parking lot at the smoke shop is extremely dangerous. There have been multiple fights and shouting matches. Customers are trying to back out of a parking spot that is being blocked in by the drive-through lane traffic while pedestrians are walking behind the parked cars. It is extremely dangerous. Someone is going to get seriously hurt or worse.
Was this the same letter we had gotten before?
It certainly sounds like it, but it was, if I'm not mistaken, because we cleaned this out, that was sent today at 6:30.
But it is, as I recall, the same letter that was sent
It is.
previous, okay, it is. It definitely is, okay. All right,
Just hit-
that's being addressed, is that correct, Mr. Pizzo?
Yes.
Let me bring you up to date a little bit. The dirt pile, he is being fined. He is in court for that. We are trying to work things out to get that done. And I sent Quentin out there actually to measure how much dirt is there, Quentin, and I forget 7,000 yards or?
Yes, it was close to 7,000 yards. I was there with my other inspector on Friday when Mr. Connolly approached us on the hill when we were trying to get our survey done. That's why it was not a contractor that we were with, it was me and my other field inspector.
And what had happened when you were on location?
Mr. Connolly observed us up on the pile, taking our measurements. So he approached us, asking questions on what was going on and stuff like that. And we were just telling him we're doing our job.
I
Okay,
wanted to know what was actually there at that dirt pile, if it was topsoil or fill or what it was, and I got a report back from then. It's mostly all fill, the pile there. We're making progress on this. It's going to be removed one way or another. I assure you that. The second part about the traffic on there, Joe Polari has brought that up with me several times. We're trying to monitor that, what they're talking about. We haven't got to the situation exactly what they're saying is happening there at that time, but we're monitoring it to see what we can do down there. It's on the top of our list to make sure that becomes in compliance. I know they had some other areas there they were having trouble with, the second floor of the building. They were using it for different things. Ken Farrell is working on that. Some of the things they're saying are legal, what they're allowed to do under that zoning ordinance. So we're on top of it. It's top of the list every day here in Bensalem.
Didn't they go in front of the zoning hearing board?
They did go in front of zoning hearing.
Yes,
And did they get relief, or were they denied?
They were denied.
they were denied.
Okay.
Yeah, they had,
Nobody living up there on that second floor, correct?
absolutely not. Yep,
Okay.
that's correct.
But that.
And then as
that-
far as the
that
traffic
does- that doesn't-
situation,
That doesn't
is
mean
that
that,
in compliance or is that illegal, the traffic pattern they have going on?
Well, I guess they're just super busy, and it's hard getting, I guess,
Bleeding
getting
out
in
the
and out.
bike.
The people we sent down there, Quentin, I don't know if you've been down there on this one. We've sent police and everything else. We're trying to figure out at what time that happened so we can see what we can do about it.
When I was there on,
Time, it's not like that all the time. I guess it's when they get real busy and the line goes out to the Bristol Pike. Is what I understand.
yeah, I've not observed that being that full. I've seen like 3 cars stacked, but I know a lot of the striping is somewhat faded, which probably would help the situation from original construction a couple years ago. So that might help the situation too.
Have we told them to do that, Quentin? That's
I don't believe so, but I noticed that on Friday when I was there on the pile that there was a car that was parked along the edge where it was the turnaround to go through. I'm not sure if it was just parked there or if it was abandoned, but I've seen it there before. So I was going to talk to Ken about that, but he's been off for a couple of days.
Yeah, well, why does Ken have to, can't we do it? What do we have to do? Mark?
That's what,
What?
but pardon me, that's what I was going to discuss with Ken when he got back. He'll be in tomorrow, so I was going to discuss it with him tomorrow morning.
I don't think he'll be in tomorrow.
Pardon me, I can't hear you.
Ken's not, I don't think he'll be in tomorrow morning. He's on
He was
vacation.
on, yeah, I think it's only off Friday and Monday, as far as I know.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Sounds good.
All right, thank you. All right, and so we know it's being addressed, and hopefully we can resolve this by the end of.
Aggressively, by the way.
What's
Okay.
that?
Aggressively. We're
Yeah,
on
I know,
top
I
of it.
understand, I understand. I hear it every day. Okay, great. All right, gentlemen, we're gonna, is that the only comments we have, Mr. Pizzo, public comment?
That's it, sir.
All right, and we'll have those other 2 in our packet to review, and then that will be read publicly when that comes before us on the minor subdivision. All right, moving on to other business, we're going to make the round robin with gentlemen, keeping in mind that this is the last meeting before our Christmas celebrations. Mr. Samori, I'm going to let you make the first comment you would like to make. Mr. Samori?
I have nothing further to bring up, and I don't know if this is the right time, but I'd like to wish everyone a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and it's been great working with everybody through the year.
It is the correct time, and thank you for your comments. Russ Benner, I'll let you go next.
Yeah, nothing new to report, and I'll just echo Bill's comments that just wishing everybody a safe and happy and joyous holiday.
Quentin Neron?
Everybody have a nice holiday. It's been a pleasure working
Okay.
through all this COVID this year.
All right, thank you. Debbie McBreen, would you like to say something? I know you keep it pretty quiet, but
Happy holidays.
thank you very much. Okay, we'll go to our solicitor, Joe Pizzo.
Everyone who's currently celebrating Hanukkah, hopefully you're having a pleasant one. Merry Christmas to everyone here in Bensalem. It's always an honor and an extra special privilege to be able to represent the community in which you live. And I thank all of you for the opportunity to, all of you here on this call, to continue to serve the residents of Bensalem. And Happy New Year. Let's hope that 2021 is a far better year than 2020 has been.
Thank you. Ed Tokmajian, Councilman.
Thanks, President Kisselbeck. First, I wanted to thank everybody who put together the Santa drive-by over this last weekend. It was a great event to allow at least our Bensalem kids to see Santa. Also want to recognize today marked a significant achievement in terms of COVID-19 vaccine being administered here in the U.S. So hopefully we're on the road to being able to get back to some normalcy, being projected sometime spring, summer of 2021. Until then, I'd like to caution everyone just to still follow social distancing, wearing masks until we're able to get the majority of the country vaccinated. Lastly, just to echo everyone's sentiments, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a happy New Year. And to Mr. Paisa's point, hopefully 2021 ends up being a lot better.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Knowles, Joe?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Kisselback, President Kisselback. Yeah, like to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, to celebrate Hanukkah season, and Merry Christmas to everybody who's celebrating Christmas. It'll come up December 25th. And I wanted to mention real quick, I didn't get a chance because I was muted, but we're providing money to Consumer Credit Counseling Service for the rent relief. But Consumer Credit Counseling Service actually provides free nonprofit credit counseling, helps people with budgets, besides housing services, budgets, and credit counseling for free. There are companies out there to take advantage of people, not that I don't know which ones are which, but Consumer Credit Counseling Service is actually funded partly by United Way. And they actually provide credit services, counseling on bankruptcy, budgeting, housing, rental. So people can take advantage of all their services for free, and don't let the other companies who are charging to do the same thing, take advantage of you. But, just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. And 2021 is going to be a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Jesse Sloan, Councilman?
I just want to echo everyone's sentiments. Wish everyone happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and a very happy, safe, and healthy New Year.
Thank you. Keep it short and right to the point. Way to go. And I'm going to also repeat the same sentiments of everyone. Your holiday season is here. Whether you celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Christmas is just a few days away. And the Parks and Rec Department, as I said earlier, did a wonderful job with Santa being here for all of our children. 2021 has got to be better than 2020. So God bless everyone for everything that they've gotten through in this year. And let's have a great year, and let's go get them. And as they say in the Philadelphia Eagles organization, one more win coming up. All right, gentlemen, thanks. God bless you.
Yeah, yo, Ed.
Oh, I'm
Ed.
sorry. I'm getting to you. I want you to have the grand finale. I'm getting to you. I am getting to you. You have the grand finale, Joe. Absolutely.
Well, first of all, I want to bring up, we have a snowstorm coming on Wednesday, and it could be a major snowstorm. I want you to know we're prepared. As of now, we have all motions and gear to whatever we normally do to make sure that we give everybody the services they deserve. So one of the things, remember, keep your cars off the street so that we can plow. And I signed an declaration of emergency today in case we get into that situation. So we're set for that. And, it could be bad. I heard up to 12 inches. I'm not sure where it's going, but that's what they're talking about. So just be prepared, everybody, and follow all the rules. And most of you know that. I'll do a little TV show tomorrow morning and bring everybody up to date on that. The other is a very, very happy Hanukkah to everybody. I don't know what day it is now, the fifth day or sixth?
It's
Sixth
the
day?
fifth night.
Sixth night.
Fifth
It's
night.
the sixth night.
Fifth night.
Oh, the fifth night. And I think even it's pretty cool. I think the youngsters get a little gift of some sort on every night of that day.
They
That's
do.
pretty cool.
Lucky them.
And certainly a very Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. Have great holidays. And like a couple of people said, COVID-19 is still with us. And oh boy, let's hope 2021 is a much, much better year. And the vaccine works, and it's out there now. I think they started today in some areas, and Bucks County's getting started. So everybody, and however you pray or what you do, let's pray for better times and times ahead, and enjoy the holidays alone. Only 10 people in the house. Don't forget, wear your mask in the house. Do not eat between meals. So follow the rules. Follow the guidelines. Stay at least 6 feet apart from everybody in the house. It's rough, guys. It really is out there. All the restaurants are closed. Think of those waiters and waitresses that right before Christmas and New Year's, would they depend on their families? And I mean, it's devastating, really, really devastating. So hopefully we get some relief from Washington on that soon to help all of us, these people get through this, the community. Other than that, thanks, Ed, for allowing me to speak, and God bless everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and we'll conclude by, I'm sure everyone noticed that our Vice President, Joe Polari, is not with us this evening. I wish him, and we all wish him well. His wife is getting better. She's home now, and Joe, we miss you not being here, and hopefully everything will be better for you, as we just stated, in 2021 for you and your family. So God bless you, and God bless everyone in Bensalem. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night. The meeting